We're used to seeing TikTokers stroke YouTubers filming us on the bus, train, and maybe the street. But this obsession with filming everything has led to a new breed of people you may have come across. Over the last few years, a strange new corner of YouTube and TikTok has blown up. Auditors. Do you know the word? These are people who turn up at office buildings, warehouses, industrial estates, car parks, shopping centres, anywhere with a hint of authority and start filming. Isn't that just the way of the world now? Sometimes with proper cameras, sometimes with drones, and usually with the clear goal of getting a reaction. The whole business model relies on confrontation. The more irritation, suspicion, or pushback they can provoke from staff or security, the better the clip performs online. Again, isn't that just the way of the world? It's become a lucrative little industry, this, with many of these channels pulling in huge views and therefore serious ad revenue. And behind it all is the idea that I'm allowed to film in public. You can't stop me. Which is true, legally speaking, but only tells half the story. Welcome to True Crime Catch Up. I'm Stuart Blues from British Murders. With me is Adam Lloyd from UK True Crime.
Hello.
And every week we'll be diving into what's happening in the world of true crime, from the biggest headlines to the strangest stories you might have missed. Make sure you're following the show wherever you're listening, hit subscribe on YouTube, and if you enjoy what we're doing, leave us a quick rating or review. It really helps people find us, and it's a zero-cost way of supporting this brand new show. With that, Adam, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's start off with Auditors then, Stuart. I've watched a fair bit of Auditors. It's the sort of thing I would maybe watch late at night when I can't be bothered to do anything else. And it really is, I think, compulsive viewing. And many of them, you look at their numbers, a bit like us here on this video for YouTube, Stuart. They're making they're making loads of cash from their content, and it's easy watching, isn't it? It's entertaining. And what I see when I see these Auditors, I see this typically. So they film from public land, but they're focusing on private businesses, their secure sites, or staff members, usually security guards. They engage these people in conversation, and they often bait them into getting things wrong and talk about the law. I've even seen one that audits police forces. One guy was police force car park, looking at their private cars. That's quite interesting. Then they use drones to capture overhead shots of buildings. So there's all the stuff about what drones they're allowed to use and their licenses that a lot of people just don't know, of course. And they're often leading questions to increase tension, I would suggest. Stuart, you watch a lot of this stuff. Why would you say they're going viral at this time?
I think it's rage baiting, because these lot, forgive me, are master baiters, as it were. You like that one? They are masters of the bait, right? Because rage baiting is such a key element in not just auditor style videos, this new term. When I hear the word audit, I think, someone's going to come after my tax records. They certainly need to come after your tax records. I'll say that much. But it's the human element is there, and it works. Confrontation works. Controversy creates cash. That's a saying I like. I just think most people that watch probably are thinking that the auditor is just a sado, for better use of a term, just a knobhead, get a life, get a job, whatever. But you're so compelled to watch, and the people filming know this. I don't think the content as a viewer is about supporting them. Another example is that cycling Mikey. Have you seen him?
Oh, I've seen him, yeah.
He rides around his bike in London, and he films people who are trying to take shortcuts or on the phone while driving, which, granted, you could argue that he's doing a service, a public service. On the other hand, he's just in my opinion, he's just a bit of a weirdo. And if you looked into his past, apparently he's got some concerning past, but we won't go into that. We don't want to tarnish things we don't know about, but that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, and really, what makes it good is when it's confrontational, when it's shouty. I must say that if I see like one talking to a security guard who's being eminently reasonable, I'll forward wind and go to the next one. I'm just not interested. It's all about shouting. Of course, the more you watch, it's content first, isn't it? So they get more views, you go and watch other videos, they make more money, and so of course they produce more videos. And there's other reasons they're a concern. Let me tell you one that concerns me. So, firstly, we've seen in the news this last week, haven't we, about the BBC and Donald Trump. If you're doing the editing, you can control the story to an extent here, can't you? For example, I've been told off by Stuart. I'm editing this one. I've been told off by Stuart to take out his breathing, his excess breathing, which is a new one on me, Stuart. But should we move on from that, or do you want to expand for our listeners' enjoyment?
I think I need to explain because it sounds like I'm not fit enough to walk up the stairs. Because I do the intro and I'm not much of an actor, I have to take breaths between some of the lines. Now, whenever I'm editing, it's pretty much a masterclass of editing. Now, because Adam's significantly older than me, he struggles with tech. So when he sent the finalized version of one episode last week, my intro, he left in all the pauses of me leaning away, taking breaths. It didn't flow. He said he didn't even notice. So
the thing is, Stuart, I'm used to working with professionals. It's it's difficult sometimes.
That. You shouldn't have picked a collaboration with me then.
Absolutely. So let's move on from that quickly, shall we? So the edit is an issue because you can dictate the whole, exactly what it's about, can't you? If you control the edit. What other things do you think are a concern here?
The edit is a good one because you never see what led up to the confrontation. And you see this a lot with people who claim they're being harassed by people on the street or assaulted, which people throw out like it's going out of fashion as a term. You don't see what led up to that. An interesting story, when my dad was on a jury one time, he had this case and it was from a supermarket CCTV. Now, the defence, or the prosecution, one or the other, had shown the footage halfway through, which looked like this kid had assaulted a police officer.
Huh.
But after requesting to see the full footage, what they saw was something which revealed that actually it was an accident, that the officer had done this themselves and they were trying to frame this kid. So it's important for context to see the whole thing. But for me, it's the fact they're putting staff in a no-win situation because they're just doing the job. They come out innocently enough to speak to these people. And a normal person would just be like, oh, can't I film here? Sorry, I'll move on. But these guys, that's what they're after.
Yeah.
They go to places knowing they're not supposed to film, with the little book of the law that they quote in the pocket.
Well, they are allowed to film, aren't they? That's the whole point.
But I don't know the ins and outs, so I can't comment on the law. But it seems bizarre to be able to film. It's all right saying you're out in public if you're in a high street, let's say. But if you're filming from high in the sky, a drone, what if there's a school nearby and there's children there? What if there's people with protection orders that have been in a domestically abusive relationship who they don't want their ex potentially to see them?
Yeah.
That's the stuff that isn't taken into consideration. It's content first, consequences second.
Well, one of the really controversial ones that I've seen recently, and it's been a controversy across the whole of the UK this last year or so, is auditors filming in the places that house asylum seekers. Now, some would say, because of course, as a country, we're completely split down the line. There's no middle ground. But some would say these videos are politically charged, they're questionable, and they exploit the vulnerable people who have zero ability to respond or even to defend themselves. But of course, that's one point of view, whereas others would say these auditors are the heroes. They're doing this on behalf of the public. They're finding out information that our authorities are covering up or won't share with us. That's the reality. There's never a middle ground anymore, is there?
See, I think stuff like that is more worthy of documenting, as taboo it is, because that's such a sore subject in the UK right now. But I think it's important to see things like that, because what we're told in the media is either nothing or that this isn't happening. You might get told that, no, they haven't got NHS on site. But then you might see a guy walk in and there's NHS staff there. Meanwhile, so-and-so down the road can't get an appointment. Stuff like that is why they do it as well, to reveal things. However, on the flip side, again, it's taken completely out of context. You don't know the background. The auditor isn't the person working for the government who's organised this. You can see it from both sides. I certainly find that more interesting than a random guy like, I don't know, Charlie Veitch, just arguing with some teenagers in the middle of Manchester for no reason with a
Well,
security guard around him. I find
as you
that
know,
strange.
see, I'm a big fan of Charlie Bates, as you
Of
know.
course you are. Of course you are.
And we went to CrimeCon Manchester. We were just by Piccadilly Gardens. I was desperate to go and see him, but he wasn't there annoying people that day. But I suppose you've really touched on another thing here. You say it's not in the media. Then we've got another question, which maybe for another day, we'll get another expert to talk to us about it, is what is the media nowadays? When did you last sit down and watch the BBC or ITV 10 o'clock news? I haven't done for maybe 5 years. A lot of independent YouTubers, people like Dan Wootton, who left GB News. He's now got, what, 700,000 people from here on his YouTube channel. Mike Graham, recently sacked by Talk TV just this last week or so, in very controversial circumstances. He'll be starting up his own independent news network as well. All the people with huge followings on X, Facebook, Instagram, what is the media? What does Elon Musk say? We are the media now, aren't we? Not the old mainstream lot.
And that's not what the old mainstream lot like. You think back in the day, you think Fleet Street, journalism, BBC, Sky, ITV, all these people. They will poo-poo anyone that goes independent and say it's not legitimate journalism. It's not real journalism.
Podcasts.
Podcasts, yeah. I mean, I kind of get it. I also see the other side but we're reporting on what's going on from our perspective. Therefore, that is journalism, right?
Yeah. Well, I talk a lot in my podcast about, especially in court, if you go for an expert to do a report, and if you can't get the right expert to give you the right conclusions, you go and pay another expert. Yeah. And there's a lot in the media as well as a lot of talk about the death of the expert per se. And who says that the guy presenting or the guy who's a BBC journalist or an ITV journalist, who the hell says that they are the expert telling us their knowledge? We don't have to listen to them anymore, do we? That's the reality.
But what baffles me about these people is they claim that they're filming for research purposes. I have a YouTube channel I'm filming for. I might be wrong, but that's never the content that's actually shown. The only content they seem to show is them arguing with John the security guard.
Oh, they're making money. I tell you who did get targeted. I hope he doesn't mind me saying. Paul, the true crime enthusiast. One of them turned up at his work one day.
Really?
Yeah, you have to look out for that on YouTube.
Goodness me.
Yeah. But do you think, my basic view, I don't think there should be restrictions. I don't think there are possibly any restrictions that you could do. Do you think it should be restricted? YouTube? Should YouTube restrict them?
I don't know, because there's already so many restrictions on YouTube as it is. I think if you added more, it'd get to the point where what can you put on there?
Yeah.
But again, it's from a legal standpoint, they're not breaking the law. You have to focus on, rightly or wrongly, what the law states. Morally, it might come across as wrong. Get a life. But you could say get a job. They're probably earning a lot more, some of these people, than your average 9-to-5er in this country.
Absolutely. And everyone
can you blame them?
No, you can't. Everyone loves conflict. Everyone loves watching conflicts. Like if you see an argument in the street or something, you're always stopping to watch, or cars when there's a car accident, or the rubberneckers. Everyone loves conflict, don't they?
Well, they do, and that's what the news is. There's something, I think it was on Peep Show, the TV sitcom, and they've said, oh, news, it's always bad news. And the other, a bus crash, for example, and he says, yes, but you can't just report that there was 100,000 successful bus journeys in a day. Like, who would watch that? Do you know what I mean? You only report on the stuff that goes wrong.
Do you know what I like about working with you, show? I like all the high-level references that you bring in. Like Peep Show.
Peep Show it's an elite-level comedy. If anyone's not seen Peep Show, please go and watch it. It is elite.
It absolutely is. I must have watched the whole series through about 4 or 5 times, haven't you?
Is that it?
Yeah, it's comedy every time. Now, just in case people haven't watched any of these Auditors, except for my favourite, Charles Veach, who else would you suggest they might look at to get an idea of who's doing this stuff?
I mean, there's this guy in the Kent area, Rot Dog. You heard of him?
Rot Dog.
Rot Dog.
Nice name.
Kent Audit UK or something. Okay. DJ Audits, all these people. What's the guy from, not auditors, but there's vloggers as well we find interesting, don't we? People that walk around vlogging, showing neighbourhoods. One of my favourites is Bald and Bankrupt. I was watching one of his vlogs in India the other day. And again, from a journalism perspective, he's walking around the real India, speaking to people, showing you what it's really like, not what the media wants you to see. But I just think Auditors, it's just lower level to me. I think it's so go out, piss someone off, make content. It's not exactly breaking barriers, is it?
So I'm going to segue perfectly here, Stuart. What if you saw an auditor on an e-bike? Would that make you appreciate it more?
Well, I imagine the footage would be rather blurry.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I'd hope they have a gimbal.
A gimbal?
Yeah.
What's a gimbal?
I think it's called a gimbal. What's a gimbal with you?
Don't know. I'm thinking gimp when you say that. I don't know where you're going with this, Stuart.
A gimbal, you got me doubting myself now. It's the thing that steadies a camera. You know, you can have a selfie cam.
Hmm.
If it has a gimbal, then it steadies the camera so that it doesn't shake.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good.
It's a videography thing. Image stabilizer, basically.
It's good to know. Look, it's not. We're not just discussing crime here, Stuart. It's a chance for people to learn about all parts of society and what's going on in tech.
It is.
Should we move on?
I'm a big fan of photography, so let's talk about e-bikes.
Go on then. Tell me why you want to talk about e-bikes. You were desperate to talk about them.
Absolutely desperate. So Adam and I recently went to CrimeCon in Manchester, but I also went to the one in London. And e-bikes are prevalent, especially down there. Now you might think, yeah, that's good. You know, it's a green transport option. That's not what concerns me. It's the crimes and even deaths involved with these e-bikes, because the legislation around them is pretty lax, really. You can buy them from anywhere online. There's no regulation regarding the types of batteries. A lot of them are causing fires, which I didn't realize. There was a guy that died because the e-bike in his flat set on fire. The lithium ion battery, whatever it's called, set on fire, and he fell from the 16th floor of his flat and sadly passed away, because there's no British or European standard control to what types of batteries or chargers can be sold in the UK. And our power system is, I believe it's more powerful than Europe, right? It's a different system. I believe it's more powerful, the wattage. That's such a big concern. But what annoys me is people riding these bikes without a helmet, which annoys me.
Why? Why does that annoy you?
Because it's just common sense, isn't it? Just wear a helmet to stop yourself dying. Do you know what I mean? Now you could say, well, it's their fault. If they die, then, you know, serves them right. I get that. But as a lover of human life, I just think, wear a helmet, you silly Billy. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I suppose I'm torn here with e-bikes. There's two things. So I know when we lived in Spain, for example, almost all the children at the secondary school had e-bikes because it was a pretty safe sort of road, wide pavements. It was a good way to travel, and especially nowadays. I mean, getting public transport. Just my personal opinion, I've got to go to London this week, and I've got to go to Ipswich as well. And I'm dreading the trains, the buses, the underground. But if I was driving, it would be even worse, right? Because the roads are so clogged. So e-bikes can be a good way to travel. But I suppose what concerns me in particular about e-bikes is, one, they are killing people. It's not just that the guy you told me that the battery overheated. They hit people and knock people over. There've been a few deaths, haven't there, Stuart, for this?
Yeah, a couple of I hate the word pensioners, older people, because it sounds like they're not as worthy as others in society, I think. So forgive me. But there was a retired royal engineer, so served his country, James Blackwood. He was 91. He was hit by a e-bike rider in July 2023. E-bike rider was 50, by the way.
Wow.
Riding on the pavement. If anyone should know better, surely it's a 50-year-old. James sadly died from his injuries months later on October 13th of that same year. And Julia Burns, she was 62, struck in Feltham. Was it Feltham?
Feltham, yeah.
Feltham, yeah, by an e-bike rider in September 2024. And again, she died months later in February of the following year. So these aren't instant deaths. Not that would make it better, but these people are suffering for months with internal injuries because they're being hit by these thoughtless people on these e-bikes.
Yeah, and the other thing with e-bikes is, at the moment, they're connected very strongly, particularly in London, to mobile phone theft, aren't they? Have you come across that?
Yeah, I mean, the stats on this are just diabolical. So in 2024, how many mobile phones do you think were reported stolen? So this won't be the true figure. This will be how many were reported stolen. What do you think that number?
In where? In London?
Just in London, yeah.
Oh, let me guess. Oh, it must be about 70,138.
Ooh, he's so close.
Go on, what was it?
Oh, you do make me laugh. 70,137, actually.
Damn.
You must have got a typo in your script. That's roughly 192 phones a day.
That's staggering.
Or
Absolutely staggering.
one every 7.5 minutes.
Wow.
There's a joke in there I could make, but I don't want to lower the tone. Some police say that up to 69% of thefts in the capital are related to mobile phones. Now,
Goodness me.
I mean, you're in London a fair bit. I've been there a few times myself. Is this something you've actually witnessed in the flesh? I've seen videos online, but have you actually seen it?
No, I haven't. But I know the advice I'm always given when I jump in a taxi. I always ask them about violence and theft in London, and they always say the number one place for them being stolen is outside a tube station. Have you heard this? So people come out of the tube station, get out the phone, especially if you're not from there, you're a tourist, and you're looking for where you're going next, and that's when they snatch, often on e-bikes as well. So it's a massive problem. But one thing I have seen a lot of is where these phones all turn up, because you can track your phone, can't you? And people track them to specific warehouses all over the world, particularly in China. I've seen a lot. Have you?
Yeah, there's like one main destination. This is for iPhones in particular in Shenzhen.
Oh.
I'm definitely saying that wrong. This city in China, it's known for its large second-hand and electronics market. So people nick these phones, and you've seen the videos, whether it's CCTV, again, people like Auditors filming, whatever, and they just ride along. People in their own world normally have the phone at arm's width in front of them. Yoink, it's gone. Next thing, it's other side of the world. What can you do about it? It feels so personal because everything's on our phones, isn't it? And it's like you've been robbed of a piece of you nowadays. That's how attached to phones we are.
Have you lost your phone recently, Stuart?
Not recently. I did have my phone stolen a long, long time ago. I got robbed on a night out, but it's my own fault for being drunk.
Where were you? Leeds?
No, in Huddersfield. I was only about 19. Yeah.
Okay. But I know that if I lost my phone, everything's gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an utter nightmare.
Yeah. It's hard enough when you buy a new phone and you have to transfer stuff across when your other phone's right there. To have it stolen, it's like having your wallet stolen. Yes, you can replace everything, but it's the breach of privacy, I think, that gets you more than anything.
Sorry, you have a wallet stolen. Is this 1984, Stuart?
Look, some of us have to carry a wallet with cards and money, right? Do you know what I mean?
Do you use money? Do you use cash?
I don't use cash, no. I have a card holder, actually.
In your phone?
I have a physical card. Do you not carry cards at all?
No, I've got a really good mobile phone case now, which is like metal, and it's got like an opening case on the back where all my cards go.
That is just so boomer.
It is, isn't it? It's great. I love it.
That is so. Oh my god.
Do you carry a briefcase as well, Stuart, or not?
Oh, come on. That is so like something that my mum or dad would do. Is, oh, I know what's a good idea. I'll put my credit card and my debit card in the same phone case as my phone, so that if someone nicks my phone, they also get all my cards. Brilliant.
But what
a genius idea.
Are your phones not on your card as well? You can't pay electronically?
No, I can. I've got Apple Pay.
Right.
But the thing is, typically, every now and again, you have to use your card to put your PIN in for fraud purposes. So yeah, I just have a little card holder. Stores 4 cards in it. Got
any pictures on the outside?
No, absolutely not. I don't carry pictures of my child in my wallet.
I always find that a bit strange when people do that, do you?
It's a bit weird, isn't it? Someone nicks your phone, they're just looking at your kid.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit bizarre. Should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. What are we talking about next?
Talk about free speech and how it's no longer free, potentially. Tricky one, this.
Well, we discussed this before we started, didn't we? We talked about how open do we be here? So we're going to say exactly what we think. That's the best way to do it. And the thing that's sparked us here is everyone's favourite footballer, Joey Barton. Saw this. He was convicted of sending grossly offensive social media posts about Jeremy Vine, Lucy Ward, and Enai Aluko. He was found guilty by a jury at Liverpool Crown Court, 6 counts of sending a grossly offensive electronic communication. But the communications he sent, well, he's cleared of 6 other counts first. They said he'd crossed a line between free speech and, what's the expression they use? Free speech and criminal.
A crime.
And a crime. I don't know, what's the context for those? He's always sending stuff, isn't he, on X? What's the context for those in particular? Do you recall?
I think the problem with Joey Barton is he's trying to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And he's so anti-woke, whatever you make of that term. He's so against progression. To stay relevant, he's gone the complete opposite way, and he's just becoming just needlessly crass and trying to make a name for himself and get attention, I think. Now, the downside of that is when you've got a status like that, people know who he is famous, whether you like him or not. You're going to sometimes get a harsher sentence than the layman. But as we know, even, was it Lucy Connolly was jailed for recently being released? This was for a race hate post. Again, this was online. My concern with this is not that I'm justifying, some of these, frankly, just daft things that have been said. But at what point does free speech become grossly offensive to incite violence or hate?
Yeah.
Because ultimately that's subjective. The judge that agreed to find or sentence Joey Barton, however it's worked, would another judge have felt the same? It's subjective. That's my concern with it. Is I'm not saying you should go out and say what you want about, some of the abhorrent characters of old in the past, and I'm thinking of someone from the 40s in particular. I'm not saying we should go out and start singing praises like that or calling people whatever you want, any name under the sun, slurs, whether it's general, racial, religious, anything. I'm not suggesting that. But my concern is this claim of free speech. I mean, Elon Musk, when he bought X, that was his thing, to bring back free speech, right? You could pretty much say what you want on there, as dangerous as you might think that is, but it's now a crime.
Well, I've always thought that in this country, there's free speech. You can say whatever you want, but you have to be aware there are consequences for what you say. That's the thing to say.
That's
but
an interesting take, yeah.
But if I look at what Joey Barton says, I'm afraid I can't see too much wrong with this. He spoke about Ward and Aluko in the post on X. He called them the Fred and Rose West of football commentary. And he spoke about Aluko. He related him to Stalin and Pol Pot. It's a crass reference, but he said as she'd murdered hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of football fans' ears. Then we've often read about the stuff he was doing with Jeremy Vine and talking about his stuff on his bike. But as tasteless as this is it a crime? Is it really a crime to say that? Or is he just trying to be funny in his sad little way?
I think what Joey Barton's doing is saying the quiet part loud.
Yeah.
Because most people have, say, private WhatsApp group chats. It might be some lads you went on a stag do with, or it might be a girly group or whatever. And I'm sure some things that get said in there probably cross a line between funny and grossly offensive. Between friends, that you can laugh it off. But what he's done is take that, put it on a public platform, and now he's facing the consequences. I mean, again, I can't say the word, but calling Jeremy Vine whatever he called him, it's just daft, innit? It's something a child would say.
Stupid. It's just
you wouldn't
stupid,
arrest a child for saying it. An adult should know better. I just don't see how, if you read that online, how you would deem then taking that to court. I just find it strange. Again, I'm not sticking up for Joey Barton. He's a bit of a prick, let's be fair. But I just don't get it. I don't get it.
It's the same as Lucy Connolly. This has been debated 1,000 times, hasn't it? I think she was given 2.5 years in prison. She's out now. She's been released. And what she said, you could argue it's inciting racial hatred, right? You absolutely could argue that. But my view always, it comes back to my view on prison. My view on prison is this person going to hurt you, me, our families, our listeners' families? or are there a better way to deal with her? I'm quite happy with Lucy Connolly getting a 2.5 years sentence, but not spending in prison. If it was me, I'd have her out talking in schools, talking in colleges about the error of her ways. And I wouldn't just have her doing 10 to 3 days a week. I'd have her doing 10 to 6 days a week, actually really giving something back to the community. Because sending her to prison, it's like all the stuff with Graham Linehan recently. Like the Met Police just shot themselves in the foot, didn't they? The terrible PR they got from that. What are your thoughts, Stuart?
It's hard to say because he get there was a big hoo-ha about how he got arrested. I think there was
People
an
with guns,
excessive amount of cops or something like that. But then was it? Did they release him or not? What was the crack?
It's all dropped now.
It's all dropped. Okay.
Yeah. He was getting involved in the trans debate.
Right. Okay. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But what baffles me is the inconsistencies, and it's sort of a different thing. But the story of Lily Whitehouse really got me recently because we always talk about knife crime and prison. Does it work? Does it not work? But her killer, Mohammed Azim, this is a guy who had convictions already for drowning someone in 2006. He tied up a man and drowned him in a canal. 6 years later, he was freed. After that, he smashed a bottle over a woman's head. He dragged her by the hair and sexually assaulted her, the R word. For that, he was jailed for a minimum of 16 years, but he didn't even serve half. Why? Because after COVID, they started releasing people from prison. So he didn't even serve his minimum sentence for doing that. And what did he do? He got out, history repeated itself, and now Lily Whitehouse, a 19-year-old girl minding her own business in Albury, West Midlands, is dead. Yet they're sending however many people to get Linehan, and Barton's convicted for some words. It doesn't compute with me. I don't get it.
I think the whole, this is a bigger subject, but the whole criminal justice system, I think people now accept it's broken, isn't it? On so many levels, from prisons. We spoke last week, didn't we, about the people being released from prison. I'm sure there've been more released ever since. But what really frustrates me, you've got all these people working in the criminal justice system. They're all doing their best, aren't they? Even the out-of-touch judges are doing their best. They're working hard.
And it comes back to subjectivity. You've got a guide for sentencing. Let's take murder. One judge might give you 24 years, another might give you 30 years. The guidance is it should be minimum this or next level minimum this, let's say. But it's up to the judge, ultimately. If they wake up in a certain way, they might give you this sentence. If they wake up, they might give you this sentence. You don't know. We know that people are working hard. It's just, as the general public, it's frustrating to see stories such as Lily's, which I don't even think made that much mainstream news. Whereas, the Joey Barton thing, et al., is, I think the Lily Whitehouse thing happened either just before or around about the same time that the heads of the BBC stepped down.
Yeah. Because
of the Trump thing, which I get is a major story. But it just shows the priority. Do you know what I mean? This was on an ITV news show, so you can see why they want to put the rivals down. But it just hurts that it's as if it didn't even happen.
And this, I think, goes back to what we were saying before about what the media is now. So I would suggest that most people, well, everyone listening to this podcast today or watching us on YouTube, Lily's story is much more of interest to them, Trump and the BBC. And yet the people who are setting the agenda there decide to put that at the top of the bulletins. And to me, it's the same with the criminal justice system. So I think it's too far, although the judges are still working to guidelines, I think they're too far away from what the public want. I think they don't understand what the public really want anymore. I think it's just lost its way.
Yeah. I'll tell you what the public do want, though.
Go on.
The animal story of the week.
Do they want more cow puns or not?
People are just fuming that my first pun went over your head. You completely ignored it when I said
Your
move. Move, yeah. But here's a story from the good old US of A. We're speaking of their president. Let's talk about the US a little bit. So Adam and I, if you don't know, big time dog people. Adam's also a cat man. Dog-wise, we've got 5 between us, I believe. I've got 3, you've got 2. So this story really caught our attention. A dog with a great name, Eeyore, which is not only a character from Winnie the Pooh, it's also a Slipknot song. I know you love Slipknot, don't you, Adam?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Slipknot and Elaine Page, my 2 favourites.
So Eeyore recently led a US sheriff's deputy to his owner's 86-year-old mum after she fell over while out on a walk. So this is in body cam footage. The dog runs towards the deputy, and you can view this online. Released by Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office. This is in Florida. A deputy is seen responding to a call from a husband concerned about his missing wife. Upon seeing Eeyore, the officer got out of a vehicle and was led straight to her. And on the video, you can hear her saying, "Oh, Eeyore, you're a good boy. This is the grandma. Grandma loves you," she says. How sweet's that? I was just thinking, my dogs, they don't have that many special talents apart from, getting fish bum on the sofa. What about your dogs? Any special talents, Adam?
They're both very good at eating. Our pure Dalmatian Dizzy Rascal, he can spot a grain of rice 100 metres away. I'd fancy him to be any animal, leopard, you name it, over 100 metres to get a grain of rice.
You reckon? Is that cooked or uncooked?
Doesn't care any food at all. He's obsessed by food, that dog. He can't. If anyone's eating food, he can't rest.
Yeah, that's like my pug. His favourite food, I think, is discarded tissues.
Oh, nice.
On the walk.
Is that austerity in the Blues household?
Yeah, the best part is it coming out the other end. It's like a magician's hanky.
Well,
and
lovely thought.
I think that's where we'll leave it.
Yeah.
What a great place to end for this episode today. If you've got thoughts on anything we have discussed, there's a couple of controversial subjects in there, or if there's a topic you think is worth highlighting, we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a comment on the YouTube, join our Facebook group, and get involved. We've got new episodes coming out every single week, so make sure you're following us on Spotify, get subscribed on the old YouTube, and follow wherever you listen so you don't miss an episode. If you enjoyed it, of course, please leave us a quick rating or review. It really does help new listeners find the show, and it won't cost you a penny. You know I love that. Thanks for catching up with us. We'll see you next time for another True Crime Catch-Up.
Cheerio.